folks, welcome to another edition of Outspoken. I'm Dan Sileo. What a weekend we have in sports. Masters, we have moving day today, and then we have championship Sunday at Augusta National. Plus, the Major League Baseball season is getting out and underway. We're now starting to see some of the teams that are jockeying for a position, and also we are within 2 weeks of the National Football League's draft. Guys, fire the cannons. All right, guys, so the National Football League is under investigation by the DOJ, the Department of Justice, for unfair practices when it comes to you. Their contracts and their TV contracts are in the bullseye right now of the federal government and how they're charging excessive prices for cable and how the streaming prices now in their current contracts do not coincide with one another when it comes to their antitrust exemption, which means this. You are getting hosed when it comes to your cable bill each month by the National Football League. The NFL has unfair practices because there's no guardrails on their current contracts. This is why the National Football League wants to get out of these current deals. This is why the NFL wants to start negotiating with some of these NFL networks to try to get more money for what their product is. Right now, the National Football League, again, Amazon, all the streaming services, this was not under the antitrust exemption that they were given by the federal government. The federal government is now going after the NFL for gouging and price gouging because there's no competition. It is a monopoly. National Football League, 96 of the top 100 television shows are NFL football. Think about that. Right now, the National Football League is the number one entertainment product in the entire country. Without them, Hollywood's dead. They're not putting any sitcoms on. They're not putting any engaging television shows on. This comes down to live sports broadcasting. This comes down to NFL football. NBC, CBS, ABC, those networks don't exist without the National Football League and the money that they generate for these networks. And now, when you have a situation where you have Netflix and you have Amazon and you have all these other platforms that the NFL did not negotiate when it came to their antitrust, they are gouging you at your cable and all the issues that you have with your cable. There is no doubt about it. The National Football League, just like they did with DirecTV, they will lose this case when it comes to court. The National Football League is in the bullseye of the Department of Justice. All right, the Philadelphia 76ers. You know, I've been saying this since the Elton Brand era. So, you know, Elton Brand, remember when he came out and said, remember the process? It's all about the process. Josh Harris, the owner of the 76ers, has been a train wreck. And here is the prime example of it. I get it. Look, emergency appendix surgery for Joel Embiid. They can't get a break with this guy. At the end of the day, though, here's Joel Embiid's tenure as a 76er. He's lazy. He's always out of shape. And now he is a speed cone. This guy is not prepared to play ever since that basketball rimmed out in that divisional round game against the Toronto Raptors and did not move on to play in the Eastern Conference Finals. Joel Embiid wins the MVP, and he has packed it in, and this guy is all about making his paycheck because at the end of the day, he has done nothing in Philadelphia to sit there and warrant the money that he's generating. I mean, think about what he's done. Again, I get it. Bad luck, no question about it. Appendix surgery, right. Put it all together, though. And what you have here is a speed cone that really, at the end of the day, has not done anything to really help the 76ers move on and become one of the best teams in the Eastern Conference. I think the guy has actually been a bum there. Okay, Dontavian Wicks, make no mistake about it, okay? At the end of the day here, Dontavian Wicks is a guy that was sent to Philadelphia for what? He was sent to Philadelphia because they are getting ready to trade A.J. Brown post-June 1. They get Hollywood Brown. They get Elijah Moore. They put him in a position now where, guess what? You're looking at Howie Roseman, and there's no question they're moving on from A.J. Brown post-June 1. They're going to be able to spread out the money and they're going to be able to have an opportunity to get some draft picks back. Whether it's going to be a 2 or 3 or whether it's going to be a 1 and 2, that's going to be up to the general manager, in my opinion, of the Philadelphia Eagles, and that's going to be Howie Roseman's decision on what to do. But it's time to move on. This thing's been a train wreck. Ever since we saw A.J. Brown on the sidelines reading a book, what is it, War and Peace, during an NFL game, this has not worked out. Why? Because the last 2 years, the offense is ranked 29th and 23rd in passing offense. Nobody's going to move the sticks there with Jalen Hurts as a passing quarterback. Jalen Hurts was one of, if not the best, dual threat quarterback in the National Football League. When Jalen Hurts doesn't run, he is mediocre in the pocket, and his numbers speak to that. This is all coming down to AJ not getting his tosses. And also, this shows you at the end of the day here, what, folks? Wide receivers are all about the money. This shows you, again, where you are in the NFL as a wide receiver in today's National Football League. This is not about winning. Explain this to me. If you're A.J. Brown, you've won 2 NFC championships. You've been a 1,000-yard receiver every year you've been in Philadelphia. You're making $32 million a year. How, at the end of the day, are you not happy? You made the money. You've got the wins. You think going to New England, that's going to help you be a happier camper because Drake May is tossing you the football? Folks, again, these are the kind of players in today's NFL that nothing is going to appease them. If you send him to New England, you think he'll be happy? Well, guess what? In today's NFL, getting targets, getting receptions, this is how you're paid. I try explaining this to fans all the time. You don't get paid on wins in the NFL. You get paid on accomplishments, your production. Take a look at the top 10 quarterbacks in the NFL right now, whether it's Trevor Lawrence, whether it's Jared Goff, who has gotten to a Super Bowl. Look at the list of quarterbacks that have not gotten a Super Bowl, like Lamar Jackson or Josh Allen. These are some of the highest paid quarterbacks, a Jordan Love. How did they make $55 million? You're making that money on what potential these organizations think you're going to become in a couple of years. Folks, you get paid on numbers. And A.J. Brown in Philadelphia feels his numbers will not be where he needs to be. Plus, A.J. Brown is talking about what? Legacy. He's looking at making potentially an opportunity to make it to the Pro Football Hall of Fame one day. And where he sits right now with his catches and where his yards are all time, he's got a tall putt to sit there and try to say that he's going to be a Pro Football Hall of Famer when you got guys like Reggie Wayne out there who yet to have to punch their ticket to make it to Canton. So he wants to go to a place where he gets high volume. Make no mistake about it. Look, Brown's a great football player. He is, without question, one of the absolute great players that the organization has had. And I would go as far as to say this. He has been the best wide receiver the Philadelphia Eagles have ever had. Now, the best talent is probably Owens, but it was only for a year and a couple games. This player here has gone in, become the best Eagle receiver, and he's also impacted Devontae Smith and how Devontae Smith has come along as a wide receiver in the National Football League. So it is time to move on. The Eagles are moving on and preparing for life after A.J. Brown. This is why they've made all these moves when it comes to going and starting the 2026 season. I guarantee you this, come September, the start of the 2026 season, there is no way at the end of the day A.J. Brown will be on that football team. Some of my great friends here, Morgan & Morgan, the #1 injury law firm in all of America for a reason, my friends. It is because they win. Family-owned, family-run. John Morgan and Ultima Morgan started this company over 25 years ago. I told you about the family in Pennsylvania that was initially offered $650K. They ended up getting nearly $30 million in settlement. How about the family in Florida? $350,000. They ended up getting nearly $12 million in settlement. Do me a favor, guys. Go online. forthepeople.com/big sales or pound love 529. That's forthepeople.com/big sales and pound love 529. And do me a favor. You tell them Big Sales sent you. All right. We are going to talk to our friend Joe Lisi. It's been a bit. We'll do some Masters and we'll do some NFL draft. That's all next, right here on Sports Grid.
process is closed. Let's call it out for what it is, right? And is it their fault? You could, they've been just besieged at Embiid, but it just continues, Kevin, right? As soon as he's like, don't worry about my health, and then here we are, right? I would have traded him a couple of years ago. I would have gotten ahead of the curve, Kevin.
Game time decisions, only on Sports Grid.
For those people who use YouTube, there's a new feature that is powered by AI. And what is this exactly, Simon?
So let's say you're watching Yankees highlights, and you can say, YouTube, when is the next game at Yankee Stadium? You see that information on the screen. How much is the cost? What seats are available? You see that information on the screen. All right, call the Yankee Stadium box office. I want to make a reservation for 2 tickets.
Newswire, only on Sports Grid.
Am I going overboard when I'm saying that? I've never seen anything like this.
He's damn good, and it seems like he has an extra focus on pitching. I saw him pitch with the Angels and hit with the Angels, and it seemed like hitting was what he was trying to prove. Maybe because guys like John Smoltz would come out and said, "Oh, he should be a pitcher only."
Outspoken with Dan Sileo, only on Sports Grid.
Shocking reality, I think, for college basketball. Certainly the purists, to see a legendary school struggle to land a current college heavyweight. But this is the new world order. Mike Malone is either going to be the greatest hire in modern college basketball history, or North Carolina is going to be conducting another incredibly expensive coaching search in the next couple of seasons.
The Early Line, only on Sports Grid.
Truly one of the greatest sporting events that you put on your calendar, must-see television and appointment-setting television is Augusta National. Each and every single year, again, of all the 4 majors, this is a single track, so you know what you're going to get when you see the Azaleas and also the Masters here. And again, one of the truly great events. Joe Lisi joins us now here. And what makes the Masters a special event each and every single year, Joe?
Well, I think, Dan, thanks for having me. It's just the event and what it encompasses, the best players, and the ability to see great golf, right? I mean, you just see the turnout and all of the drama. It's almost like watching an NFL playoff game. That's what it comes down to, and that's why fans tune in to watch this great event over 4 days. But Rory McIlroy right now is just picking them up and putting them down, and right now there is no drama heading into Saturday.
How about this, too? Gary Player came out and said that of the 4 majors, that this was the easiest of the 4 majors. Do you agree or disagree with that?
That's tough. I mean, I would just say no, just because maybe from a course perspective, but we've seen players have multiple, double shot leads heading into Saturday and then just fail. I just think the pressure of the Masters is unlike anything that we've seen, right? It's almost like the Super Bowl. If you don't watch golf throughout the regular season, Dan, they tune in for these 4 days to watch the Masters, watch great players throughout the years, and that's the drama and the pressure that these players have to deal with. And it's unfortunate, but that's why they get paid the big bucks. We'll see if Rory can hold on for the 4 days and get the green jacket, but, he's got to play his best over Saturday and Sunday.
If you really go back to a year ago when he won it and now where he is now, it's probably been 5 of the 6 rounds, because if you remember right, in the opening round last year, I think he shot a 74 getting out of the gate there. So in your opinion, how has he dominated these last 5 rounds? And do you believe he can keep it up? Because he just looks so comfortable out there right now doing the loop.
Yeah, he does. I think the biggest thing heading into the Masters, and when you see a great player like Rory, and I'm not the one to talk about, in terms of form and technique, right? I'm still learning as we go. But at the end of the day, Dan, I think it's momentum, right? You're playing your best golf heading into this event, and now you start the first 2 rounds completely on fire. That momentum definitely carries through, and that really could break the will of multiple players in this field. I think that's the other thing, too, is that a player like Rory, the mental resolve he's built for this type of course, and he's built for this type of environment and stage, and not many players are. And that's why we've seen certain players dominate the Masters and others basically over the last couple of days fall off a cliff.
Joe, do you think he's the greatest European player that we've ever seen on the PGA Tour?
Oh, that's tough. I would probably say, in my opinion, Dan, yeah. I mean, again, I think Rory has stepped up. He's answered his critics over the past couple of years. He's been outspoken, but at the end of the day, he backs it up with his play. And you see this performance right now, 12 under leading into today. I mean, that's a dominating performance. In my opinion, I think he's answered all the questions and the critics. I think he's one of the best European players that we've seen.
Absolutely. And then one of only 6 men ever to win the career Grand Slam on top of that as well. So, I mean, it goes into an extreme category here. How about Patrick Reed? Do you think he can make any noise this weekend?
Well, I mean, Pat Reed is definitely a name to keep an eye on. He's in the top 10 right now. He has an ability to close the gap. But again, can Pat Reed finish in a top 5 perspective? When you look at the odds, I think it's possible. Again, would you take a shot on Jon Rahm or some of the others? Maybe. But I mean, Pat Reed right now, 6 under. I think he's got a very good shot to maybe get to 9 under by Sunday. If he does that, then anything is possible to potentially be in the top 5 come Sunday afternoon.
Guy came over from LIV is Brooks Koepka. Before he left for LIV, he was really dominating a lot of the majors, especially the United States Open. And here he is again. He's in contention right now. Do you think he can make any noise this weekend? Today's moving day, obviously Championship Sunday. Because of his past experiences being in big tournaments and major championships, do you think he can make a move?
I mean, it's possible. I mean, at the end of the day, Brooks Koepka is definitely a name to keep an eye out on. I mean, he's playing well. Has he played his best from Thursday heading into Saturday? No. But again, when you talk about players being able to move up the field and just dominate over the last couple of days, Koepka's a name to keep an eye out on. I think he has great value in the odds market. So, I mean, if he's going to do it, he's got to step up today on Saturday.
So Scottie Scheffler has kind of wobbled going into the weekend, hasn't he? I mean, here's a guy a year ago, it was like Byron Nelson kind of stuff, all the championships that he was involved in. Guy was on the leaderboard, top 5 a year ago, was one of those Tiger Woods years. What do you make with him? Because he's one of those guys, Joe. He's very streaky. When he gets going, he's like a runaway train. Do you think he can get going here on moving day?
It's possible. I think the biggest thing for Scottie Scheffler, if you watched his dominance of just when he wins, there have been tournaments where he has come from behind, but typically Scheffler's the guy that's really leading. He's like Rory, right? He dominates in the first couple of rounds, builds a huge lead, and then just breaks the will of everybody else. He hasn't been playing his best golf heading into Saturday, but he's still a name to keep an eye out on. I would take a shot on some of the others. I just feel like from the gambling perspective and the odds perspective, Dan, everybody's going to back Scheffler in this spot. I tend to just back away and look for other players to maybe take a shot and make a move over the next couple of days.
Joe, one of the other storylines heading into Thursday and Friday's rounds was it was the first time since '94 there was no Tiger or Phil. I mean, just your overall takeaway. I mean, since '94, that's a long time here to sit there and look at not having those two guys, winners of major championships there at the Masters. You tell me what that impact was.
Well, it's almost like Brady and Peyton Manning squaring off, right? When you think about the marquee names going up in one of the biggest and best events that we've seen, right? To not have Mickelson or Tiger, and it's unfortunate what happened with Tiger. We hope he gets help and gets back on track. But you think about those recognizable names, and when I talk about the average player tuning in to the Masters on this weekend, you think about them tuning in to watch Phil Mickelson win his first or watch Tiger dominate the field. We don't have that anymore. We have names like you mentioned, Rory and Brooks Koepka and Scottie Scheffler to take over, but it's different now than it was back in '94.
Absolutely. We could be looking at maybe finally the changing of the guard here a little bit, with some of the recognizable names being guys like Rory McIlroy and seeing guys like Scottie Scheffler. We're going to talk some NFL football with our friend Joe Lisi. We're inside of 2 weeks for the NFL draft. That's next here on Sports Grid.
process is closed. Let's call it out for this, right? And is it their fault? You could, they've been just besieged at Embiid, but it just continues, Kevin, right? As soon as he's like, don't worry about my health, and then here we are, right? I would have traded him a couple of years ago. I would have gotten ahead of the curve, Kevin.
Game time decisions, only on Sports Grid.
For those people who use YouTube, there's a new feature that is powered by AI. And what is this exactly, Simon?
So let's say you're watching Yankees highlights, and you can say, YouTube, when is the next game at Yankee Stadium? You see that information on the screen. How much is the cost? What seats are available? You see that information on the screen. All right, call the Yankee Stadium box office. I want to make a reservation for 2 tickets.
Newswire, only on Sports Grid.
Am I going overboard when I'm saying that? I've never seen anything like this.
He's damn good, and it seems like he has an extra focus on pitching. I saw him pitch with the Angels and hit with the Angels, and it seemed like hitting was what he was trying to prove. Maybe because guys like John Smoltz would come out and said, "Oh, he should be a pitcher only."
Outspoken with Dan Sileo, only on Sports Grid.
Shocking reality, I think, for college basketball. Certainly the purists, to see a legendary school struggle to land a current college heavyweight. But this is the new world order. Mike Malone is either going to be the greatest hire in modern college basketball history, or North Carolina is going to be conducting another incredibly expensive coaching search in the next couple of seasons.
The Early Line, only on Sports Grid.
One of the coolest times of the year now. And by the way, we are in Liars Month. And what I mean by that is it's NFL draft time. You're going to hear teams saying, I got no interest in that guy. And under 30 visits, they're going to bring other dudes in that are going to kind of take you off the focus of what they're probably going to do in about 2 weeks for the NFL draft. Joe Lisi joins us now here. And Joe, let me go into this. I've heard a lot of people say this about this coming NFL draft. Is this a trade down draft? Is that what you're hearing, that a lot of teams want to move down in this draft?
I think it's possible. I think when you look at the overall talent, wide receiver wise, and even quarterback wise, it's not as deep as we've seen in recent years. And I think there is the ability for teams to acquire multiple draft picks in round number 1 or beyond if they feel like the best available player or the player that doesn't meet, let's say, their scheme or needs can be available, they'll trade out. So I think that there is the potential to see multiple trades on day number 1. And again, we talked about Fernando Mendoza going potentially first to the Las Vegas Raiders. Maybe he doesn't go anymore with the addition of Kirk Cousins. I mean, there's a lot of storylines that we have to see play out. And again, I think we'll see multiple drafts on days 1 and beyond through round number 7.
Who's your best player in this draft? I mean, if you were looking at all of the prospects right now, I call them sandbox guys. Mm-hmm. There's probably 9 or 10 guys, right, Joe? I mean, I think the average fan thinks there's 32 first-round picks. There's really not. There's probably around 9 first-round picks that are in this draft. In your opinion, if you had to pick the best and most talented player in this draft, who would that player be?
Well, if we're talking defense, I would go with David Bailey from Texas Tech. The way he transformed that Red Raider defense, I think he's a dominating pass rusher and a dominating defensive front lineman like Jared Verse was for the Rams a couple of years ago in winning Rookie of the Year. He forces double teams. He's a force to be reckoned with, has great technique, and again, elevated one of the worst defensive fronts in college football in just under a year. So I think he is that type of game changer. But on the offensive side of the ball, Dan, I think Cornell Tate is the best available wide receiver. When we see JSN get the most money from a wide receiver perspective, I think he's in that mold. We've seen Ohio State players hit the ground running at the wide receiver position, and he can transform an offense, I believe, to 1,000-yard or 1,200-yard receiver in year number 1 with competent quarterback play. So again, and that's not to take away from Jeremiah Love as well. I just think when we look at running backs and we look at, the additions of running backs and how they have been added into schemes and organizations, running back can maybe take a step back, even though Saquon and some of the others like Derrick Henry have dominated the NFL for recent years.
What do you make of the Ohio State linebacker, Sonny Styles? 4'3", 6'5", 250 pounds. You put his tape on, too, Joe. This guy, I saw him against Miami. He was all over the football field. I mean, this guy can play. He dominated the combines. Then you put his tape on, too. What do you make of him?
I like Sonny Styles. Do I think he's a dominant player? He has the potential. I still think he can add maybe 10 to 15 pounds of muscle. But again, he can run sideline to sideline. Is he as dominant, in my opinion, in run support as David Bailey or some of the others? No, and I think Bain is in that area as well, a bigger body, but Styles is more athletic. He's faster. But again, when we're talking about type of player that you need, he's more of an outside linebacker / edge rusher, where I think David Bailey could be that dominant defensive end that just takes games over like Myles Garrett.
Absolutely. Mario Cristobal said Bailey was the best player he had seen the entire season and guys that he had played against. What do you think the Cowboys do? And what do you think the Cowboys are looking at? Because, they make the deal for Quinnen Williams. I think actually, Joe, if you think about it, since they got rid of Micah Parsons, they loaded up on equity with draft picks. I think they got a little bit better as a unit. Now you lose a star player like that. But where do you see the Cowboys going in this draft?
I still think the Cowboys have defensive needs, Dan, in the secondary. And I know that their offense is legit, and we know that potentially. And I agree with you. I think they got more cohesive as a defensive unit after they got rid of Micah Parsons. But when we see games that Dallas loses, teams are able to throw over the top. I still think you can't have enough quality cornerbacks and safeties in the draft. So I think those are two needs that they potentially address in rounds 2 through 7. And again, they need to upgrade the defense to where they're dominant to go up against the likes of some of the others in the conference.
Hey, 10 seconds. How is Ty Simpson flown up the board? And do you think he goes in the first round?
I think now the hype will make him go in the first round, but I don't buy it. I don't think he's a first-round talent. I still think he's raw and has struggled in his college careers against better competition.
Absolutely, I'm with you. I think both these quarterbacks, if you look at them, right, Joe, probably third-round talent, but because of the need of the position,
right,
it's quarterback going in the first round. Joe, appreciate you, brother. We're going to talk to our friend, Fox News Kevin Corke. Next, right here on Sports Grid.
The process is closed. Let's call it out for this, right? And is it their fault? You could argue, they've been just besieged at Embiid, but it just continues, Kevin, right? As soon as he's like, don't worry about my health, and then here we are, right? I would have traded him a couple of years ago. I would have gotten ahead of the curve, Kevin.
Game time decisions. Only on Sports Grid.
For those people who use YouTube, there's a new feature that is powered by AI. And what is this exactly, Simon?
So let's say you're watching Yankees highlights, and you can say, YouTube, when is the next game at Yankee Stadium? You see that information on the screen. How much is the cost? What seats are available? You see that information on the screen. All right, call the Yankee Stadium box office. I want to make a reservation for 2 tickets.
Newswire. Only on Sports Grid.
Am I going overboard when I'm saying that? I've never seen anything like this.
He's damn good, and it seems like he has an extra focus on pitching. I saw him pitch with the Angels and hit with the Angels, and it seemed like hitting was what he was trying to prove. Maybe because guys like John Smoltz would come out and said, "Oh, he should be a pitcher only."
Outspoken with Dan Sileo. Only on Sports Grid.
Shocking reality, I think, for college basketball. Certainly the purists to see a legendary school struggle to land a current college heavyweight. But this is the new world order. Mike Malone is either going to be the greatest hire in modern college basketball history, or North Carolina is going to be conducting another incredibly expensive coaching search in the next couple of seasons.
The Early Line, only on Sports Grid.
Man, I can't wait for the start of college football. I can't wait for the start of the season. And most notably, I can't wait to see what's going on in Boulder this year with Deion Sanders. I think a lot of heat has been put on Deion this year by one man and one man alone, and that has been Curt Cignetti. Curt Cignetti went into Bloomington and transformed the Bloomington football faithful to knowing that they have a national champion football power now. How did he do it? Guy comes in from James Madison. He takes some of the people that he had with him, about 13 of his former players, and he brings them in on the transfer portal. And what does he do over those 2 years? He just completely changed the face of Indiana football. So much so they go on to win the national championship. And that's exactly what Deion Sanders, in my opinion, has to do with Colorado. I mean, make no mistake about it. There's a lot of pressure on Deion. And one of my friends I love talking sports with, he is Fox News' very own. And he has made, folks, you have to understand something about Kevin Corke. So he no longer eats in a stadium like where he goes and gets the media meal. He now eats on Air Force One. Here is my friend from Fox News, Kevin Corke now. I think the menu's a little upgraded, isn't it, Kev, from the stadium menus to Air Force One?
You're so funny. You and I have done so many hours of, and I hope you can hear me okay there, Dano. Just so many hours of hot dogs and nachos and just terrible food. But you know what? I wouldn't change it for the world. Good to see you, my friend.
Good to see you, too. I was just talking about Deion in Colorado. I said that the pressure has to be put on him from what Cignetti did by transforming that program. You and I know Indiana football. I mean, it was one of the worst programs in the history of college football. Doesn't Deion now have to really elevate that program when it comes to wins? He's done so many great things, Kev, for exposure for the program. Got to win now, right?
You know, I mean, let's just call it for what it is. What Curt did over in Indiana is like mind-boggling. It's just, I grew up at a time when Indiana was not only a basketball school, and I would still argue it still is, but I grew up at a time when Indiana football was probably as close to the bottom of college football as you could possibly get. I mean, they were the guaranteed W. So for Curt to go in there, and by the way, he came out of a program that was not exactly a world beater in terms of the national college football landscape, but to come to the Big Ten, the Conference of Champions, let's face it, they've won multiple national championships in football. They've won both the men and the women's in basketball. I mean, this is heady stuff that he's done. So I think to answer your question, the pressure is on Deion. The difference, though, is I think Colorado and Indiana are similar in that the fans are thankful. If Deion wins 8, 9, 10 games a year, Colorado fans are cool with that because we've had a long winter dating back to the old glory days. But if you're asking, do I think this ratchets up the pressure? Absolutely. If Curt can do it, Colorado should be able to do it too. And a lot of people, Dan, will feel that way.
So let me take you into the landscape of college sports now. Do you believe the federal government should be involved in kind to rein in, so to speak, nil transfer? You saw the president come out with an executive order to try to deal with transfer. He doesn't want guys playing 9 years in college sports any longer. I mean, in your opinion, Kev, should the federal government get involved because of the amount of revenue and money that's being generated?
I think it's a good protection to have the federal government as a backstop. I think overreach is always dangerous. You know how I feel about that. But that said, we've got haves and have-nots, and we've always had haves and have-nots. The problem now, Dan, as I see it, is a kid could transfer every year, 4 years in a row. Absolutely no possibility of graduating. I transferred college once and lost a ton of credits, and it took me an extra semester to graduate. So you can imagine, kid starts out as a freshman in Florida, decides, I'm not playing enough. He goes to, let's just say, Rice, and gets a little time and performs well, and now he wants to go play for, say, I don't know, Penn State, and they're like, hey, this kid was all conference, let's snap him up. How's that kid going to graduate? If this is not about also playing sports and working toward, remember, this is under the auspices of a university, a learning institution. If we don't tweak around the edges, I think we're really endangering not just the athletes, but the integrity of the sport. So I'm glad the government is stepping in a little bit. I'd be very wary of overreach here. You know how they get. Give them a little, they'll want more. But I do think something has to be done. And by the way, if I could say very quickly, I'm happy for schools that can have massive booster input and great dollars. I love that. Good for you. I write a check every year. That's great. But I have to say, there should be some mechanism to maybe just a bit more level the playing field. I'm not saying we have to cap what they offer student athletes, because if it's your name, image, and likeness, you do you. Make all the money you can. But I do think there has to be something set aside. Maybe there, again, some tweaks around the edges. I have my own ideas. I'm sure you do too. But I do think it needs a closer examination than what we've had over the last 3 years, which has been more or less the Wild Wild West.
You know, let's not kid ourselves, folks. The transfer was Harvard, so it wasn't just a junior college that he's talking about here. He's talking about Harvard here too. So
you're so
Kev,
funny.
You're in favor then of the kids getting paid. So I am too. I'm in favor of the guys getting paid,
absolutely.
and I think that this has been long overdue. Is there some sort of guardrail you'd like to see though around the paying of these student athletes?
Yeah, a couple things stand out right away for me, Dano. I'm all for the players getting paid, because I remember as an RA on a football floor, there were guys on my floor that couldn't afford to get home for Thanksgiving, couldn't afford to get home for the holidays because their parents were so poor that they had to stay on campus. And back then, things have changed. I get it. I'm a dinosaur. Back then, there wasn't, training table on weekends, and guys were struggling. So to me, I'm like, good, get money. But here's what I would do to make sure it's a little bit more level so that there's more actual competition in college sports. Because the way it's going now, I believe you're going to end up with basically 12 programs that genuinely compete, maybe 16. And then every once in a while, you get one team that has a special year. But that's about it. So here's what I would propose. I would propose that you can make the money, but some of it has to be set aside with markers. Hopefully the idea being we can maybe encourage more savings, maybe make some incentives. If you reach these academic markers, you also get more of your money earlier. But ultimately, I just would like to protect the kids and their resources, because I know how quickly you can run out there and buy a Range Rover, wreck it, not have anything to graduate on, tear a knee, and now you're basically back to square one.
Absolutely. And also, I would say this. I would be in favor of limiting the transfers. I don't mind you transferring.
Yeah.
And especially if a kid leaves, okay, and a coach leaves, I think you should be able to have that opportunity. But inside a minute here, Kev, you tell me, do you want to limit the transfers?
100%. I think you should get at least one transfer per 4 years, unless your coach leaves, in which case all bets are off. If the coach leaves, you have the right to transfer. Maybe some people would argue maybe two, but I just think you're good for one transfer, because, again, this lends itself to being serious about where you play and hopefully working toward graduation.
No doubt about it, man. I mean, like you said, if you see these kids nowadays that are transferring and they're doing 4 or 5 transfers, you're really not helping the kid get an education here and really helping that guy get a degree. I say this all the time, Kev. I think the NFL players sometimes, when they go into the draft, they think that $400,000 is going to last forever.
Yeah, they do.
Trust me when I tell you. We're going to spend a couple more minutes with our friend from Fox News, Kevin Corke. I love talking sports. We're going to talk the Department of Justice now going after the National Football League. We'll do that next right here on Sports Grid.
You wouldn't have your ex officiate your wedding.
Do you, Jake? Liar? Cheater? Gaslighter.
So why have anyone but America's largest injury law firm handle your injury case? With over $30 billion recovered for our clients, there's a reason to go big.
Gaslighter, coitus crier, he's got more red flags than a bullfighter's attire.
Morgan & Morgan, America's largest injury law firm.
How much do you think tanking is hurting the NBA right now, too? And what we're seeing, like we saw with that Jazz and Orlando game a week ago, how much do you think that's hurting the game?
I can't wait until professional sports in the United States adopts a European model, especially like a Premier League model, and they start doing relegation. The day you start doing relegation, everything changes. Everything will change.
Outspoken with Dan Sileo, only on Sports Grid.
Well, I ended up adding this since our show started here, Rohit, but his points prop tonight at 20.5 is the same number from the Iowa State game. That's a bit of a mistake, right? When we consider the gap in opponents here. I think Peterson specifically steps up. He needs to. I think he kind of owes this team a great performance.
Game time decisions, only on Sports Grid.
Class is in session. Today, let's talk about the teaser. A teaser is a multi-leg bet where you shift the point spread in your favor. You get better numbers, but every selection has to win. It doesn't matter what you bet if you don't have the insights. Tune into Sports Grid and get ahead of the class.
I know that Florida lost at home to Auburn, and it's a real thing that happened. So you can't strike it from the record. But if you did, I think Florida's looked like the best team in college basketball for about 2 months. And I think there are a bunch of results that suggest that.
College basketball today, only on Sports Grid.
Okay, so I just found out that my friend Kevin Corke from Fox News is a car enthusiast now. So where are we now with your favorite vehicle? Now you're pumping some money into a car. How did this start, and what kind of car are you working on now?
Okay, I've got a couple. My friends who know me well know I'm a Porsche guy, and I've been really angling for this GT3. But that said, I got a ZR1 Corvette, which is I'm going to send you a picture later. That's my new pride and joy. And I still have my old 718 GT. But the reason I mention it is I've been really trying to expand my auto empire. I am landlocked here in DC. I don't have the garage space, so there's only so much I can do. I'm going to have to swap out the old Porsche for the new one if I can. But the ZR1's been amazing. I'm telling you, don't sleep on the ZR1 or the ZR1X by Corvette. Just blew my mind. I just had a chance to see a ZR1X, 1,250 horsepower, 0 to 60 in 1.68 seconds. The quarter mile in 8.6. Come on, bro.
No doubt, man. Here, let me go here. Just ask the president if you could park the Porsche over at the White House. I'm sure he'll give you the go on that. Speaking of the White House, let me ask you about this. What's your takeaway on teams going to the White House and not going to the White House if they win a championship? And why has it become so political?
You know, I think it's a humongous disservice to the athletes to not go. I don't care if you play for this team, we're going, not because we support one administration over another, but because this is a once-in-a-lifetime moment. When they are older, this is the problem, Dan, they're young, they don't get it. And a lot of these, even some of these professional teams are like, I don't want to go. Good for you. But you know what? When you're older, like I am, you're going to regret that. You're going to look back and say, I probably should have done that once in a lifetime opportunity. So I'm all for going, no matter what.
Me, when I went to the White House, I made sure I got some towels out of the bathrooms there, and I made sure I wanted to get with the logo there. That's right. When I went there, I made sure I got a spoon and I got a napkin there. All right, let me go over to this. With the Department of Justice now investigating the National Football League for their broadcast rights. I saw Elizabeth Warren bring it up. I saw this was a bipartisan deal too, that they're talking about these deals that are now affecting the American consumer now, saying that there's antitrust issues now. What's your takeaway on this case here, and how far do you think this goes up the line?
You know, I'm a little concerned for the National Football League because what they've effectively done is they have taken a major product and they've made it almost inaccessible for millions of Americans. Now, they would argue, Kevin, anybody can watch something on our product for free. It's over the air. But if I now need to watch my team, Peacock, Amazon, NFL Network, YouTube
Prime
TV,
Video.
Prime Video. If I need all of these services, it's a lot of money, and it's unfair, especially when you consider the magnitude of the product. It's part of Americana. And, oh, yeah, by the way, they get lots of tax breaks, too. So I'm afraid for the investigation. I hope the league makes wise decisions moving forward to make all games more accessible, or at a minimum, lower the cost so that people who don't have it, like you and I, can still enjoy the product.
96 of the top 100 television shows are NFL football. And I would think that's why this is really in the middle of the bullseye that you're talking now. They're now a media conglomerate now, isn't the NFL? It's not just about really putting games on Sundays. They really dictate networks. I mean, Kevin, think about
100%.
it. If you don't have NFL football on CBS or NBC, I mean, you're at a major financial issues. The National Football League, without television and without them being involved with it, hurts these networks massively. So this is probably why they're in the bullseye.
Yeah, and here's the issue. The NFL would argue, listen, Kevin, we have every right to make revenue. We've done very well, but we can do better. We can serve better if we raise more money, and the salaries will be improved, to say nothing of retirement access for those who come through the league and need help. There are lots of different things that they would argue we can do with this additional revenue. I would submit that that may be true, but the problem is, as you just aptly pointed out, quite adroitly, I might add, this is more than just some run-of-the-mill product. This is part of the American television landscape that is unlike any other. Yes, they have a chance and they have a right to make as much money as they can, but they need to be responsible, and that's why lawmakers are looking closer. And if I'm the NFL, that's the last thing I want.
No doubt about it. 250th anniversary coming up. We have LA 28 right around the corner, and we also have the World Cup. It's a great time right now to really put America on display there. I mean, these two events coming up right now, what's your takeaways on how this thing's going to be presented? And I'm looking forward to both these events.
You know, I remember, I'm old enough to remember the original LA games in '84. So I'm so in love with that city. They've had their struggles, but I'm so excited about what will be and what could be the greatest Olympics games ever. And I really believe that sincerely. I think LA knows how to roll it out. It's going to be amazing. World Cups, you know, it's the singular event that brings people from all over the globe. I love that. I'm a soccer fan as well. I grew up in a big sports family. You know that. But here's what I would say. We are living in an era right now unlike any other in the history of sport. Think about it. Football's amazing. Basketball, this tournament was unreal. And not just the men's, but the women. The Olympic hockey was just amazing. I am so thrilled as a guy who loves sports to be alive right now. And I'm telling you, the Olympics in particular is something I'm really looking forward to.
I got to tell you something that I really loved watching yesterday was Artemis 2. I'm watching it with my daughter, Kev. It reminded me when I was a kid, when I was watching it with my grandpa, watching the Apollo astronauts. And there I was, all the world watching those 4 astronauts come back to America and come back to Earth. I just thought that was a great moment. Wasn't that awesome watching those Americans get out of that ship yesterday?
Oh, you just gave me goosebumps, brother. I was sitting right here in this seat in my kitchen, having a steak, and I was watching it live. And I just remember thinking, this is as good as it gets, man. This is American exceptionalism on full display. God bless those astronauts and all the technicians. And I'll leave you with this, my friend. The astronauts get a lot of the glory, as well they should. But don't forget, there are a lot of people that you'll never hear about, never see, who really made that happen yesterday. I thank them. I thank them all, not just for me, but for generations to come.
Man, that was just so American. I mean, it's like going to a stadium where you have 65,000 fans and nobody cares what your party is, what your religion
Exactly.
is, what your sexual preference is. That's just what makes America great. And I thought that was a great moment. Kevin,
Yeah.
thank you so much, my friend. It is always great catching up with you. We'll do it again. Kevin Corke,
Take care,
from
buddy.
Fox News. Sileo says we'll do that next right here on Sports Grid.
The process is closed. Let's call it out for this, right? And is it their fault? You could argue, they've been just besieged at Embiid, but it just continues, Kevin, right? As soon as he's like, don't worry about my health, and and then here we are, right? I would have traded him a couple of years ago. I would have gotten ahead of the curve, Kevin.
Game time decisions only on Sports Grid.
For those people who use YouTube, there's a new feature that is powered by AI. And what is this exactly, Simon?
So let's say you're watching Yankees highlights, and you can say, YouTube, when is the next game at Yankee Stadium? You see that information on the screen. How much is the cost? What seats are available? You see that information on the screen. All right, call the Yankee Stadium box office. I want to make a reservation for 2 tickets.
Newswire only on Sports Grid.
Am I going overboard when I'm saying that? I've never seen anything like this.
He's damn good, and it seems like he like has an extra focus on pitching. I saw him pitch with the Angels and hit with the Angels, and it seemed like hitting was what he was trying to prove. Maybe because guys like John Smoltz would come out and said, "Oh, he should be a pitcher only."
Outspoken with Dan Sileo only on Sports Grid.
Shocking reality, I think, for college basketball. Certainly the purists to see a legendary school struggle to land a current college heavyweight. But this is the new world order. Mike Malone is either going to be the greatest hire in modern college basketball history, or North Carolina is going to be conducting another incredibly expensive coaching search in the next couple of seasons.
The Early Line only on Sports Grid.
Okay, this is a reality segment here for Rashee Rice of the Kansas City Chiefs here. So he's publicly come out saying now that he wants to get JSN money, the all-time record deal that was set in Seattle for the National Football League when it comes to wide receivers. This guy in 20 football games, has 1797 in total yards, and here's also a guy that's never started more than 8 games, and has also been a player that was suspended for 6 games because of a hit and run in a speeding incident. This guy doesn't get it. You got Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid, dude. You're a stiff. You're not one of the elite guys in the NFL like Justin Jefferson or Jamar Chase or a guy like JSN. You're nobody like A.J. Brown or even Devontae Smith. This guy has Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid as his play caller. Do you understand? The Kansas City Chiefs won a Super Bowl with Juju Smith-Schuster. And now we're talking about a guy coming in and saying he wants JSN money. This guy's not a JSN type player. He's never, ever had 1,000 yards. He's always been in issues when it comes to character. The National Football League's Kansas City Chiefs and Clark Hunt, the owner of the organization, what did they do 3 years ago when somebody started opening up their pie hole wanting more money? It was Tyreek Hill. Tyreek Hill thought he was going to break the bank in Kansas City by getting a gigantic deal. What did KC do? They moved him to the Miami Dolphins and said this: congratulations, you go play with Tua Tagovailoa. What happened in the process? The guy's been injured, and he did nothing for his football team with the Miami Dolphins. Inside of that whole entire time, they never won a playoff game. He was overrated, and he was overpaid. Wide receivers in the National Football League are a dime a dozen. Most of the time, you do not need guys like the high-end dudes, like a Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson to win a Super Bowl. Think of this. No question. Look at JSN. JSN, prior to this record-breaking contract, he was not, and he was still on a rookie deal. He is a great player. But look at some of the other wide receivers in the NFL. Has Justin Jefferson ever been to a divisional round game? No. Jamar Chase, has he won a Super Bowl? No. Look at CeeDee Lamb. Has he even been through to a divisional game and won a divisional game? No. Most of the time, you can win with lesser players if you've got an elite quarterback. I'm not paying anybody at wide receiver in Kansas City when I got Patrick Mahomes. Mahomes makes everyone look better. Go back to where Tom Brady was in his era. Think about something with Brady when he won Super Bowls. Name me one Hall of Fame football player that Tom Brady ever played with in New England that won a Super Bowl with that went on to go to Canton. And don't give me Randy Moss. Randy Moss never won a Super Bowl in New England. They got upset by the New York Giants. He won Super Bowls with Amendola, with Wes Welker, with Julian Edelman. Guys who have to buy a ticket to. These guys were made by Brady. Brady made those dudes. Those guys anywhere else would also be stiffs. When you got an elite quarterback, I'm not paying elite money for a wideout. For what reason? To beat Joe Burrow? Look what Cincinnati did. Cincinnati gave him T. Higgins and Jamar Chase. At the end of the day, they got rid of Jesse Bates. They just got rid of Trey Hendrickson. Mike Brown, the owner of the Cincinnati Bengals, this is a guy that's got a zipper on his wallet. He's never going to spend the money to put Joe Burrow back in a position to win a Super Bowl. That guy's going to make $55 million a year, and he's going to die on the vine in Cincinnati because that organization is never going to do the right thing and have a balanced roster. The thing that Kansas City does, the same way that New England did, is that they got a balanced roster. And how you do this is with an elite quarterback, Rashee Rice. Are you kidding me? Dude, you're a bum. JSN money? So you want to make money off the back of Patrick Mahomes and think it's you? Dude, you're interchangeable. Don't get another guy in there. The likes of Juju Smith-Schuster. He won 2 Super Bowls with Juju Smith-Schuster. By the way, they moved off of Tyreek Hill. Tyreek Hill was voted the best player in the National Football League 3 years ago. And you know what KC did? KC said, I'll see you. We're trading you to the Miami Dolphins for draft picks. They were never going to pay that guy. Another dude with low character. Tyreek Hill will work somewhere. But here's another guy. Once again, low character, low issues, and we'll see what happens if he comes back from that catastrophic knee injury. But Rashee Rice, you're a bum, dude. Quarterback in Kansas City is the thing that moves the needle, not the skilled players in Kansas City. Plus, you got one of the greatest play callers of all time in Andy Reid. All right, we're going to switch gears and putt the golf ball. Our great friend Rocco Mediate next, right here on Sports Grid.
The process is closed. Let's call it out for this, right? And is it their fault? You could argue, they've been just besieged at Embiid, but it just continues, Kevin, right? As soon as he's like, don't worry about my health, and then here we are, right? I would have traded him a couple of years ago. I would have gotten ahead of the curve, Kevin.
Game time decisions, only on Sports Grid.
For those people who use YouTube, there's a new feature that is powered by AI. And what is this exactly, Simon?
So let's say you're watching Yankees highlights, and you can say, YouTube, when is the next game at Yankee Stadium? You see that information on the screen. How much is the cost? What seats are available? You see that information on the screen. All right, call the Yankee Stadium box office. I want to make a reservation for 2 tickets.
Newswire, only on Sports Grid.
Am I going overboard when I'm saying that? I've never seen anything like this.
He's damn good, and it seems like he has an extra focus on pitching. I saw him pitch with the Angels and hit with the Angels, and it seemed like hitting was what he was trying to prove, maybe because guys like John Smoltz would come out and said, oh, he should be a pitcher only.
Outspoken with Dan Sileo, only on Sports Grid.
Shocking reality, I think, for college basketball, certainly the purists, to see a legendary school struggle to land a current college heavyweight. But this is the new world order. Mike Malone is either going to be the greatest hire in modern college basketball history, or North Carolina is going to be conducting another incredibly expensive coaching search in the next couple of seasons.
The Early Line, only on Sports Grid.